What's good? Welcome to another episode of the Celtics Chronicle. As usual, I'm your boy Adam Taylor, and as usual, I'm joined by my homie, compadre, co-host in crime, Mr. Mike Weber. Mr. Mike Weber. What's popping, Mike?
Wake member, that could be like my hip hop name. I'm down for that.
Yeah,
How we doing,
just
guys? Good to
switch
see
the
you,
first
Adam.
two letters. Yeah, I'm good, man.
Uh-uh.
I'm good. So, for anyone that's tuning in and you're new to the channel, we're on part 2 of prepping for the playoffs. Yesterday, we covered the Philadelphia 76ers. Today, we're covering the Orlando Magic. Those two teams will face each other today on Wednesday, with the winner moving on to face Boston in the opening round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. So we're kind of just deep diving each team. So once we know who the Celtics are going to face, we can start peeling off layer after layer like a nice little onion there. Today it's the Magic, and I'm kind of at a point where, and we were just talking about this before we came on air, where we're a little bit disappointed because Orlando last year looked like a young team on the rise. Two potential future stars in Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. Went out in the summer, added Desmond Bane, which was meant to be somebody that really hired their ceiling and their floor. It just was meant to take them to another level, and at the moment it hasn't played out that way. And coming into this playing game, Orlando looked like a team that might be moving towards a little bit of a roster reconstruction rather than to becoming a deep playoff threat season after season. So I just want to start there and just be like, the version of the Magic that we're seeing right now isn't the version that we saw in the opening round of the playoffs last year. And do you think that they can get back to that once the postseason starts? Because there might be this little bit of a revenge tip that they want to get on with Boston because Boston ended their playoff run. Or is this like they'll be lucky to even make it past Philly?
Yeah, this does not feel like the team that we faced last year, for sure. That team, I would argue, was as physical as any series I could recall since the Tatum Brown era. That's how physical it was. They feel disjointed. They don't feel like they're together. Anything can happen, man. Teams can unite over the silliest things and go on a run. I always think of like the movie Major League, when they hate their owner. And like, I mean, I'd been on teams like that before growing up where I didn't necessarily love my coach and you rally around something like that. But it sounds like they're one step away from 1-2-3 Cancun, man. And I don't know what's going on in that locker room, but it does seem like something is not right going on in Orlando these days.
It's funny you should say that. So Raheem Palmer of the Ringer put out a tweet earlier.
Yeah.
Well, it was Tuesday when he put it out. We're recording this on Tuesday, just in case it's not clear. We're recording it a day early. So the tweet was sourced. The Magic are dealing with major turmoil in their locker room with my sources, Raheem's sources, just to clear that up, saying that a star player is willing to demand a trade if head coach Jamahl Mosley isn't fired at the end of the season. He then followed that up with a second tweet. I'm sure the follow-up to posting this will be how does this impact the playing game and the betting implications behind it. I'm assuming he does some betting content because otherwise who the fuck cares? I'm not sure how to read into that. Teams win despite players hating to play for their head coach all the time, but it's clear that the star in question wants Mosley gone. Now, first things first, France has barely been there all year, and the Magic only really have one star guy, so you might as well just say Paolo. With that being said, we're talking about a team looking disjointed, a team not looking like they're really enjoying playing together, and you do wonder whether some dudes aren't happy with the roles that they're being asked to play. Some dudes aren't happy with the performance of other teammates in bigger roles. If you look at Paolo specifically, he's just having, as we kind of spoke about this before we come on to air, he's just not showing that growth that you would hope to see from somebody that came into the league with instantly creating questions of like, is he the next Duke guy that comes up like Tatum? And part of me feels like he's in a role that doesn't really suit him. He's handling the ball too much, being asked to create. Really, you should be asking him to be more of a play finisher, kind of come off ball a little bit more. Paolo's just really talented, but we're not seeing any development there. And then you go on to like the lack of floor spacing around him is probably frustrating, but that's not Jamahl Mosley's fault. Obviously, that's the front office. There's a lot going on in Orlando where they're either going to need to figure it out or they're going to need to pivot from the current rotation. And I don't know whether that's going to make it harder to get a read on them, because if they do rally round, they can be this really scrappy, talented, abrasive team. But if they don't rally around it, Philly are going to kind of walk the floor with them, because Philly are going to be hungry, especially after the season they had last year. They're going to want to prove that they're showing some incremental development of their own. So I don't know where you stand on this, but I think it's fascinating what's riding on the Magic's playing game.
It's it's not a big leap to think that it's possibly Paolo complaining. There was an interview, it was down here in Boston from one of our local reporters, and he was the only Magic star I recall seeing any post-game interview with. And it sounded like somebody shot his dog. And like he was, you know what I mean? Like, Winston, Henry, our guys, like, it was like something bad happened. And I'm like, this doesn't sound like a guy who's got a play-in tournament game to play in a couple nights. This sounds like a guy who's already thinking about his vacation plans. And I think obviously Franz isn't Tatum. He wasn't out the entire season. He didn't have a catastrophic injury. However, when you compare Jaylen Brown, who was asked to take on more responsibilities, turn up his leadership skills, turn over the ball less, make others around him better, the Celtics and their 56-win team reflects that attitude and that effort from him. I think Paolo got a chance to be the guy, maybe be Tatum-esque, possibly, which is a guy. I mean, it's hard not to compare the two high picks in the draft. Both Duke guys. I know they got a good relationship just based on conversations, like a big brother, little brother mentor thing. And it was hard not to imagine like this team be taking that leap as well. They made their Mikal Bridges trade, acquiring Bane for 3 first-round picks. So while we're sitting here saying, man, they don't have a lot of shooting, the numbers don't look great, you just spent 3 first-round picks on one of the more effective outside shooters, also another tough guy, Desmond Bane, former Celtic draft pick that we let go for Grant Williams and money. Not going to complain about that now, but and it just didn't happen. So Paolo had his chance, I think, to kind of be the alpha. And so the idea that he possibly is complaining or not happy about things, to me, seems just kind of conflicting, for lack of a better term. You look at the performance of the other players that are on that team. Jaylen Brown lost Porzingis, Horford, Holiday, Cornette. Who else am I forgetting? We lost like 6 guys, right?
Horford,
right. And Paolo, Desmond Bane. Yeah, I get Franz was out for most of the season, and the team didn't get better. They didn't take that next step up. They were my dark horse team to come out of the East this year.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And here we have the Celtics rolling in at the second seed, and the Pistons, who were obviously on the upswing last year, as the 1 and 2 seed. And so it's hard not to imagine the Magic getting waxed by the Sixers just based on what we witnessed with the Bus One boy barrage the other night,
I think that with Paolo, though, the one thing I will say in his defense is there's a difference between being given the keys to a car that, there's a difference between being given the keys to a Ferrari and being given the keys to a Fiat. And
Sure.
What's happening is right now is the role he's being asked to play is forcing him into a Fiat when there's a Ferrari still on the drive. You're just putting him in the wrong role. It's the reason Jaylen Brown has been so successful is because he was allowed to flourish at exactly what he was good at and then start stacking bricks around that. So as the season went on, you saw the playmaking jump, but that didn't happen at the start of the year, and it wasn't part of his role. For like the first 3 months of the season, Jaylen Brown was third on the team in touches. They were running the offense through Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. It wasn't until Brown had really found his feet as like the lead scorer, play finisher guy that they started to give him opportunities to stack the extra bricks. Paolo hasn't had that same opportunity. It's just been, here's everything. We want you to run everything. And in return, his efficiency has been awful. Now, Paolo's never been an efficient guy since coming into the NBA. So there is a part there where you can question, well, maybe that's just, as you said to me before we came on air, maybe that's just is who he is. But moving on, I feel like we could talk about this for ages just because it's so fascinating.
A Paolo episode.
Yeah,
sure.
But I think moving on, just to look at the Magic as a whole and what they bring to the table, should they get past Philly. First thing I want to point out is this team, the Magic, are 4th in the NBA for limiting opponent 3-point shots. They really shut down the perimeter. And if you're playing the Celtics and you can shut down that perimeter consistently, which the Magic have done over an 82-game sample size, they only allow opponents to shoot they only allow opponents to use 35.8% of their offense on the perimeter. They really run you off that line. If you've proven that over an 82-game sample size and then you come in against Boston and you limit them to, let's say it's a 100-possession game and they take 35 threes, now you're kind of taking away 15, 10-ish 3-point shots that Boston would usually have. That's going to be something the Celtics need to adjust to. They're going to need to get Philly in rotation more. They're going to need to drive and kick more just because not Philly, sorry, Orlando. They're going to need to drive and kick more, just because you need to be able to generate the 40-ish threes you take a night to open everything else up for you. That's going to be, for me, one of the key battlegrounds if the Celtics do face Orlando in the first round, is just, can you generate enough quality threes? Not just threes, but
Yeah,
high
not just numbers.
quality, open to wide open threes to continually implement your style of play throughout the series. Because if they're taking away, they not only do Orlando take away the perimeter, they take away the corner too. So they just take away all 3-point shots. They try and shut you down. That's going to be a challenge for Boston.
If the ball movement stays consistent with what we've seen the most of the second half of the season, and is replicated with what we've witnessed as recent as the other night, and I know recency bias is a real thing. I just want to give a shout out to my guy, Luka Garza, for that victory the other night. I think, this isn't as scary to me as it was last season, where I kept probably putting my head against the wall going, why are we trying to force these threes? Why are we trying to force threes? Because I get it. That's part of the math. It's one of those things. Joe deserves credit for changing our offensive philosophy, or at least staying flexible. Jaylen Brown's mid-range, the driving kick game, even Payne Pritchard. We'll go back to my guys, 63% in the paint. It's the Celtics have adapted, and also the rebounding part too. This is a team, the Magic, who are a solid rebounding team overall because of their length. But against the Celtics this year, we've out-rebounded them. And their total rebound numbers are down 5 total rebounds per game as well. They average about 50 as a team per game, and it's about 45 against the Celtics. And I think that's that whole philosophy. The Celtics are no longer getting pushed around on the boards. The Celtics are getting in the paint and scoring, including our guards. And the ball movement has been just so much better this whole season. So while it feels like we could have a flashback, there's no doubt they're going to be scrappy. They're going to be tough. They're long. And there are guys like Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs is going to bring it. He's not, regardless of what chemistry issues possibly could be going on or controversy, there's a guy who, when he's on the court, gives 1,000% effort on defensive end too.
Yeah, between him and Anthony Black, they have 2 really high-level perimeter defenders. Then you've got Paolo, who's got size and strength. The problem is what they do defensively doesn't translate offensively. It's not like they're creating high-level shots themselves. They're among the worst in the league across all 3 major scoring levels. 22nd in the NBA shooting at the rim, 26th in the league shooting from mid-range, 25th in the league shooting from deep. They just don't have a coherent system that's making sense, because you have the talent. You have Desmond Bane. You have Tristan Da Silva that's been shooting around about 36 to 38% a night. It's just a catch and shoot threat on the wing. You have Paolo. And then you can plug in. You've got Anthony Black that can drive the lane. You've got Jalen Suggs that can give you a little bit off the catch. You have talent here, there, and everywhere on the rotation, but you just don't have a coherent system that's bringing the best out of these guys. When you're such an elite team defending the 3-point line, the idea is that long misses create long rebounds. Long rebounds create run-out opportunities. If you're boarding up, everyone talks about crashing the glass, right? And as we've moved into this 5-out, 3-point heavy offensive era within the league, what a lot of teams do now is, when a shot gets taken, the guys from the corners diagonally cut back towards the free throw line. It's called boarding up. And this is why Peyton Pritchard is so trusted at getting those medium to long range rebounds for the Celtics, because he'll cut off the wing or he'll cut out. You usually have one guy cut across the baseline in case it's a short, in case the rotation's weird or it front rims or whatever. You have a couple of guys board up towards the free throw line or around the elbows. So the idea is, if you're limited teams to taking some difficult threes, long shots equal long rebounds, board up, get out on the run and get some easy buckets in transition. They're 22nd. You've got Paolo freaking Banchero, get out in transition, run the floor, and they're 22nd in the NBA with shots at the rim.
He gets top speed. He's unstoppable.
Yeah, he'll bully his way.
Yeah.
I'm literally pulling up the transition numbers now, because it does make me wonder where they are in transition, right, as a team. So I'm just kind of pulling this up now, just kind of live podcasting as we go about it. We're going to play type, transition, as a team, possession, number of possessions a game. Orlando are Let's count down where they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They're 12th in the NBA for number of transition possessions per game. So they're in transition 21.8 times per game. They're averaging 1.15 points per possession, which puts them around about 12th again. So it's not like they're not running in transition, but they're not maximizing that. And when you've got a guy like Paolo that's just an absolute battering ram, they really, I mean, Boston are higher in transition. Boston are averaging 1.18 points per 100, and they're doing it on less possessions. I just think that when you've got a guy like Paolo, you should be looking to get out and run as much as you can off missed shots. And they just haven't been, not to the level they should be. So, there are some key flaws in their current system, and then there's just a multitude of guys that have underperformed this year.
Yeah, Jalen Suggs is an amazing free throw shooter and still shooting 33% from three. Wendell Carter, 15 and 10, first couple of years on that team this year, almost like his rookie numbers, like 11 and 7. And his efficiency is about the same, but he's not, I mean, you're willing to let him take open threes. You're willing to let everybody on that team, other than maybe Bane, take wide open threes. And that's a huge advantage. That's a huge advantage strategically as a team if you're game planning for that.
It makes it so easy to help off guys and send to at Paolo, built a little bit of a Giannis type style where you build a wall and make it so he struggles to get downhill. This team, as in the Magic, you do not want, if you're an Orlando fan, you do not want to see them having to run half court offense possession after possession. And that's what the Celtics are going to do to you.
It is murky, man. They were playing against our G League and two-way and stay ready crew the other night. And I get it. That's one game. It's not the whole season, but I've seen all 4 games against them this year. And it's been nothing but murky and muddy. And just, it's weird watching one team on one end, moving the ball around, penetrating in the paint, just running efficient pick and roll. And then watching another team, it feels like the Magic take to like the last third of the shot clock on every possession just to get things going. It's really not pretty.
Yeah, it's not pretty. And this is like, if you're up against a full strength Celtics team that are going to pick you up half court, they're going to pick you up full court, they're going to grind you down and take away your early offense as much as possible and put you in a position where you have to try and break down their defense in the half court. And you're this Orlando team without a genuine on-ball creator, and you're really tasking Paolo with that. And look, sometimes it's ugly like this, right? You see it all the time. Teams will force feed guys on-ball creation reps just because they know that long-term it's going to pay dividends. You see Toronto's doing the same thing with Scotty Barnes right now, and it's been just as ugly. Sometimes you have to kind of force feed guys these minutes and these reps to develop them in a way that you want them to. And sometimes, and most of the time it pays off, but it's ugly during the time. But when you're this version of Orlando and you don't have a genuine on-ball creator and everything's falling to Paolo, and now you're playing one of the best defensive teams in the league in the half court in a postseason setting, it's going to get ugly, man. It's going to get real ugly because you just do not have the release valves that you need to be able to pressure test that defense.
A prime example of that is Jalen Johnson on the Hawks. There's a guy who the Hawks identified, okay, we need to force feed this guy and give him the ball and let him run our offense. And it's paid dividends. He is playing what I think that maybe they had hoped for Paolo. But like to your point, you can't always force a guy to be somebody that he's not.
Not if he doesn't want to be the guy that you're trying to force him into, right? Like if Paolo's on board with developing himself into this point forward kind of like give and go downhill threat, and he's on board with that development, then by all means force feed him. And we don't know if he's or isn't. This is just conjecture on our part. But if he's not on board with that and you're force feeding it, not only is it going to look ugly, it's going to be, there's going to be no value there because he's not going to be trying to onboard the data that he's gathering from running this role because it's just not part of the type of player he wants to be. You just don't know. But yeah, force feeding him at the moment when you just don't have a secondary creator that you can truly rely on is going to be ugly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leery of Franz Wagner. He's always plays amazing against the Celtics. He definitely looks like he's hurt and still and struggling. Coming into the series, if the Celtics do play him, I'm interested in see what his minutes look like because he was definitely on a minutes restriction. He's the one guy that is gonna. I think he's just infinitely for lack of a better term, he's a pain in the butt. And I love that about him. He's the guy that if I had to pick one player off that team, that's the guy I would want to play for the Celtics. He's He's just got that it factor. No moment seems too big. He's very intelligent, very scrappy, very tough, great at drawing fouls. And I know he's missed a lot of the games this year. I think he's played 30-something games this season, if that, 34 regular season games. So, I mean, could something happen over the next few days where he suddenly is not on a minutes restriction and he plays more similar to the guy he is last season? It's possible. Maybe he needs to be the guy that fills that role and they shift over something. But it definitely feels right now like a disjointed unit who's not necessarily bought it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can run Franz as like a creation hub, DHOs, little back cuts as a screen and roll guy, a short roll guy, if you can unlock him in ways where you don't need to put the touches and the usage rate on him, but he's involved in creating in secondary ways, like other ways, and then you can give him like low usage shots, catch and shoot, a few little fadeaways. So you're not putting too much workload on his shoulder. He's getting the minutes, but he's not getting the workload. You get what I'm saying? Then I think that could be valuable. I think if you start force feeding him too much too soon, he's going to break down, and then he's going to go into the summer kind of beat up, and he's not going to have time to develop. Overall, though, as we did at the end of the Philly episode, I want to just shout out our predictions. So I think Orlando are a tough team. I think defensively and physically they're going to give you some problems. I'm still just as confident that Boston come out of this series as the winner. I don't see a world where, unless Paolo suddenly becomes prime Giannis or prime Tatum, I don't see how they're going to overcome Boston. I'm going to go Boston in 5, Boston in 6, sitting around that area. I don't see it going to 7, but I also don't see it being a sweep.
Yeah, I think it's Boston in 5, Boston in 6, if Desmond Bane goes nuclear in a game.
Yeah. I'm there with you.
But somebody's gonna have to play above the margins right now offensively for them shooting wise.
Look, by the time everybody sees us again, we're gonna know whether it's Orlando or Philly. I do think that if this locker room disruption is legit in Orlando, that could play a very detrimental role. Because why would you want to go into the postseason and still have to play for this guy when you could just lose and not have to play for him again?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, Cancun, go.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, Cancun. With that, everybody, make sure you show some love. Sign up to the Celtics Chronicle newsletter. Hit subscribe here. And make sure you show love to Mike's band next time they're playing around Boston. He hasn't got any dates for a while, but when he does, we'll make sure y'all know.
May's going to be a good time. I got lots of stuff coming up in May.
With that, everybody, we'll catch you again tomorrow. Peace.
See ya.
Boom. Done.